Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Please bear with me, I've tried this video twice, but here we go. I started to show you guys this earlier, but I messed up. First thing I did was I went ahead and I showed you where I drew the lines to begin. I already did my makeup on the glam side because it's like a Jason Voorhees glam. And I went ahead and used my Athena's palette. I love this palette, it's got so many great colors. I highly recommend it if you're a face painter. Started off with this black. Black is much needed, and we just went in and filled in this whole area. Try to be careful and not get the face paint in your eyes. It doesn't feel so great, and you always want to make sure to be safe. I usually don't put face paint on my eyelid or lower lid, but in this case, I just wanted to be mostly face paint. Sometimes I will use some eyeshadows from some of my palettes, but in this case, I just kind of wanted to show mostly face paint. Now, once I have that done, I use the Marion loose black powder. I really love this stuff. The only thing, it can be a little flaky if you use the wrong brush. So you got to make sure you use the right brush and make sure you let the brush do the work, not your hand. And I just kind of press this into the area just to kind of make it pop a little bit. I try not to use a brush that sprays too much. I use a flat brush, which I will let you guys know everything I'm using in the lower description in the video. And I'm just kind of patting it on there, trying not to smear it too much, because as you can see, the black face paint doesn't like to stay on my lid very well. I highly recommend using concealer, and that will help the black pop a little bit, and you may not need to use the eyeshadow very much. This was just one of my quicker face paints that I was trying to put together real quick for a YouTube video. The one thing about face paint is you can't be afraid to mess up, because that's what wipes are for. Face wipes are beautiful. Don't be afraid to mess up, because you can always fix what's messed up. As you can see, I'm patting and patting upwards. It just kind of helps the the eyeshadow kind of just stay on and without spraying too much. Gotta get in then old lady under eye creases. And as you can see, oopsie, I did make a mistake. So we grab our face wipes and we go ahead and correct that. That's okay. Great artists make mistakes all the time. Let's go ahead and wipe that away. Zoop. This is the one reason I don't start off with white. Some people have their own way of doing it just because of this whole reason right here. This way you can perfect your black circle without having to worry about smearing your white. And you'll see what I mean once I get there. Don't mind me bobbing my head as I'm listening to music in my ears. And I use this Marion setting powder. It's okay. It's good if you're on a budget, but if you can afford a good one, I highly recommend DermaBlend translucent powder. Works the best. Just right now I happen to be on a budget. I take this little brush that I have, get that all nice and smeared in there, wipe off the excess, and then just kind of tap it in there. And what that does is it kind of sets it in. This way, if you need to do any shading or anything, it prevents it from smearing, all that lovely stuff. I highly recommend you use one if you use face paint. You don't always have to use them depending on your paint. But as you can see, it prevents it from smearing once you get it on there. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, and I don't have the best brand, like I said. All brands will be in the description below. Really thirsty. Now we're going to begin with the white. I'm using a flat brush just to make sure we get everything nice and even. I use, which I guess I forgot to show here, I use a white Clown Marion base, and I love it. I love it so much. I highly recommend it. It stays, you can use it thick, you can use it thin. It's very well to your use. Like, I recommend it. There are many other good white brands out here, but the Marion Clown is the best. Oops, we got white in our hair. And see, I just put a thick layer and then I kind of just spread it out. Because I know for me, I have very big pores. And if I use too much of a thick layer, my pores get all gunky and I have to do this crazy coffee scrub that evening, and it's really hell on my skin. So I try to thin out the white as much as possible. Don't be afraid to get in that hairline. You can always wash your hair. Dawn dish soap works well to get some of this crap off. I should have used a hairband for this, but didn't think about it, or maybe I didn't have any handy. I get a little clustered sometimes of where do I start? What angle do I come from? I am left-handed, so it's really hard sometimes to do things with my right hand. I think one of the hardest things to do when I'm out here doing these face paints is making sure I breathe, because when you hold your breath, you tend to shake. So one thing is to remember to breathe. I concentrate so hard sometimes that I just forget to breathe. So make sure you breathe in and out. It'll stop you from being so shaky. Of course, eating a good meal before you do this, and maybe not drinking so much caffeine. Like I said, don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn. We make a smudge, we make a mistake, a smear. It's an easy fix. I'm always forgetting something, so I have to get up. Excuse me while I do so. And I'm back. I have no idea what I'm looking for, but apparently I found it, or didn't. I found it. And here I'm just applying some of that Marion translucent setting powder for face paint. Just trying to get it on there so it doesn't crease too much in my forehead creases or the rest of my creases. And it just kind of helps it set in, no smearing. And I'm correcting my light because sometimes my light will make the white too bright and it takes away the detail of my work. More blending, blend, blend, blend. Get that in there so it doesn't look so hard. Trying to soften all that up. We got all our white on now. And it's time to move over to the next step. As soon as I stop obsessing about blending. Thirsty. And here I'm just going over the black circle to define that circle a little bit because you can see my skin a little bit. After we added the white, we're going to just make it a little bit more round so you can see, clean up those edges a bit. I've been doing this for so long, I just become obsessed with making sure all the details are correct. So bear with me. Now we're just going to set the rest of the face in and move on to the next step. In my experience with this powder, you got to go light. If you use really clumpy, it makes the face paint look clumpy and matted and messed. So use a very light layer of any translucent powder you're using on face paint. I use this color cleaner when I'm going in between colors and I don't, with my brushes, and I don't have any clean ones. This thing works amazing. I highly recommend it. I will put it in the description below. Next, we're moving on to our red. We're going to be adding the red color, the arrow from the hockey masks. As I look at my reference picture, always have a reference picture. I had several of them. I had a reference picture from when I've done Jason before, and then I had a Jason mask up that I could look at. I do very well face paint. I may not have the best imagination, but I can sure copy a good face paint. I have been a big fan of Jason Voorhees, aka Friday the 13th, for a long time since I was a child. I started out my stream career playing Friday the 13th over on Twitch. Now I'm on Trovo, T500, and I absolutely love it. Unfortunately, I can't do my face paints on Trovo, so I bring them to you on YouTube. I really hope you guys are enjoying it. It takes a lot of hard work to do this. It's not easy. Don't be afraid to give me a thumbs up and a subscription over here, as we work really hard to give you a show. I take this little tube from a pencil I think I got, or a pen, and to put in all the holes from the mask, I just do this because sometimes drawing perfect circles is not always easy. So this is my little trick. Just kind of dip it in the black paint and just place them as you see on your reference picture for the Jason mask. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm looking at my reference picture, making sure I place these properly. Now, as I'm not 100% sure, I keep looking at the picture, we begin to place our circles from our hockey mask. And voila, we get perfect circles this way. And you just got to add your own detail once you get them placed properly. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like, you can do your own technique. If you're good at making perfect circles, hey, more power to you. But this technique works beautifully. Next, we're going to paint the next red triangle for the lower part of the mask with our red here. This one always made me nervous trying to get it in the right place, but I think people get the idea once it's finished. Perfect lines aren't always easy, but like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, and don't be afraid to make mistakes because this is how we learn to get better. And we're going to continue on with the rest of our circles. Voila! I get so proud of myself when I do a good job. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in with a flat brush a little bit of black, because we want to give it some inner depth to make them look like they're actual holes. I think this part took me the longest, trying to get these circles, aka holes, nice and perfect, because as you can see, I gotta fix some of the outlining of them, but it comes together beautifully. I've seen some people do their own Jason where they do the circle, the black holes first, and that's fine. If you're confident to do it that way, hey, my hat's off to you. But I always run into the white. If I put the white on after, I always feel like I smear more. So this way just works a little bit better for me. It just all depends on how it works for you. I say experiment. I've done this Jason several times, and every time I think I do something different. And that's okay. This is how we learn. There are also several different Jason masks, obviously, that you guys can choose to do. This is just the one I like to do. I actually won a award through Trovo, which is my streaming platform, for doing this face paint. I won Halloween costume last year, 2021, for doing this exact face paint, and this year I won for doing Freddy Krueger. Oh, I'm sorry. 2020 and 2021, I won this Freddy Krueger this year. I feel very upset with myself that I didn't wear a hairband to pull those hairs back, but that's okay. As you can see, I did smear a little black, and that's going to happen. Smearing happens. We can always clean that up. I used the black pressed powder, which I probably should have used the face paint. And the reason why I tried the powder this time, I usually always go for the face paint, is because the face paint sometimes can seem a little blotchy, as you can see around my eyes. I have gotten something new since then. I don't use, like I said, the black pressed powder anymore. It's not as good as using a translucent powder over your face paint. So, like I said, always got to experiment with things. That's how we get better. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a little bit of white and I'm just making like little shading within the circle to make it look like it's kind of popping, to give it that depth that it's an actual holes. This part doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to give it that popping look. I really like putting details into my face paint depending on the face paint. This one, I think I was just doing a little bit faster. This is the first YouTube dub I've ever done, voice dub, I should say. I'm trying to indulge in more creative content. And right here, we're doing the same thing. I think that's why I didn't worry about the edge of that so much, because I knew I was going to come in with that. But, you know, if you can add in the details, it really does help your face paint pop. Depending on what kind of camera you're using, I go from doing things like this to gaming on my platform, Trovo.live. And when I use my camera over there, people may not be able to see the details as much, but I know it's there. I've not got any ill compliments about the details that they can or cannot see. So it's always been good feedback for me. As you see, I have to steady my other arm, my left arm with my right arm just to make sure I get this right. Because I think at this point, my arms were starting to get a little tired because I was trying to do this as fast as possible. And that's the beauty of using that translucent powder. You can put white on top of black. This is how I do my Catwoman face paint. And we're just giving it some depth. We just try to give it a little depth. There I go, singing and dancing again. Next, we're just going to outline where it looks. So basically, we just try to make it look like we have glamorous face with a broken Jason mask on. So we're just outlining this. We're going to be adding some blood to make it look like it was, you know, dripping and give it that gore, hoary look. Hoary? Horror character look. Wow, that didn't come out right. I'm sorry, guys. I meant horror character look. This is PG-13. My goodness. Excuse me while I got up again. Let's fast forward through this. I got up to get a different palette because this palette has more of the browns and purples and reds that I can use to make it look more like blood. And then of course I'm going to add a little bit of fake blood. We take this, I I don't know what you call this sponge, but it's like it's a sponge for face paint, and I take these colors right here and I dip this textured sponge, I guess you would call it, to give it like a splotty texturedized look. You see what I mean? Bam, bam, bam. And I do this often in a lot of face paints. It really helps add some detail to whatever you're doing as far as adding blood. I do this with my zombie looks quite often. Once again, I have to get up. Never truly prepared, am I? Now we're going to add a little bit of a different color. I kind of layer on the colors. I will use a normal red, maybe some browns to mix in there, and maybe a little bit of purple. We just want to give it depth to make it look like it's old, maybe new blood, crusted blood, you know, just give it that depth look, details. I just kind of put blood down the side, give it that realistic look like it hurts or it's dripping blood. And look at me looking for stuff again because I'm, like I said, never prepared. Now we grab our fake blood. I'm not a huge fan of this blood, but I use it anyways because I have such a huge bottle of it. I may be looking into something different soon, but it's just what I use in the meantime, just to give it that bloody look. You can make this stuff, you can make it drip, you can make it be crusty, whatever works for you. I kind of do all of the above with it. It dries super crusty and flaky, so if that's something that you really like, that's great. So like I like to make it, like I said, look a little drippy in some areas to give it that realistic look. Don't be afraid to use the fake blood. It really does help a lot. And as Dexter says, to quote Dexter, blood, it puts my teeth on edge. I'm over here tilting my head to make sure I get the blood. Yeah, we want a good goopy drip there. Make sure, you know, gravity's our friend. Sometimes. I'm slowly putting things away as we're wrapping it up. I haven't put my lipstick on. Pull our hair down so you guys can get the idea of what it looks like with the hair down. Don't mind my hair. Grabbing the lipstick now. Never prepared. Next time I must be more prepared. In here, I think I'm using the El Maquillage red. I will put that in the description below. Just to do that half glamorous look, because we have half glamorous, half Jason Voorhees mask, which is one of my favorite things to do. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't be too harsh on me. This was my very first time ever doing this on YouTube, doing a voice dub over, showing you guys my skills. I will be bringing you guys more. I have so much more to show you. I do stream full-time over on Trovo. That is my main platform. If you want to come give me a follow over there, trovo.live/DeadMomAlive. Everything will be in the description below. If you don't mind giving me that thumbs up, hit that sub button. That helps me out a lot. I'm trying to get out there in the algorithm because I'm new here. Check out my other videos, what else I have to offer to you. Thank you guys for showing love. Hope you guys like it. Have a great day, guys. Peace.